About a year ago, there was a standoff in Echo Park. The police were evicting the homeless from setting up their encampments in the park. Local residents had very mixed reactions to how this went down. On the one hand, they want the park to be clean. They want it to be a good public use park. On the other hand, it was so bizarre the way they cleared that out. And the current incumbent for city council had a lot to do with that, right? So when I talk about the amazing work that we do, canvassing these neighborhoods every day, having conversations with these residents every day, I think I already talked about like the first measure that we're working on, which is to increase the minimum wage for hotel workers, give them panic buttons, give them some reasonable performance guidelines, give them bonuses for when they go over those performance guidelines, make sure that they can't be retaliated against if they refuse to do an overtime shift. You know, being decent people, not trying to slave drive your staff, you know? I'm going to pay you as little as fucking possible, and I'm going to make you work as hard as like two people. We want to make sure that doesn't happen, that it's a reasonable workload, right? We added another petition on Saturday. I think we've got a few more coming too, but this one's pretty cool. So in each of the cities that I've been doing this, there's been a development petition, a hotel development petition, and it's unique to each city. In Glendale, it was specifically targeted towards like a motel that was right across the street from the Glendale Galleria that they want to turn into a luxury resort, basically. And that's a hot topic. That's a hot topic in Glendale because most of the residents are pissed off at how overdeveloped downtown Glendale has become. In fact, there was one turf I got where I checked every single building on the turf, and every single building was so locked down. I could get in the lobby, but to ride the elevator, you had to have a key card. I only know of one person, it was a team leader too, who did it, I think. One person who successfully got in through the elevator, and they just basically were able to sweet talk somebody into giving them a ride to the top and, you know, get through, like, start working their way down. If we could get into those buildings, which we have a constitutional right to knock on these doors, there are hundreds and hundreds potentially. But the thing is, they keep building these things up. They can't actually rent out all the space because the demand's not there. So they're building these luxury high-rises. They're building these luxury hotels. They're not filling the rooms. But this is somehow connected to the COVID stimulus package. What was it called? It wasn't the CARES Act, was it? What the hell was it called when they did the first package under Trump? He basically floated a ton of money to developers. That's what's fucking happened. He floated a ton of money to developers, and they're building just to build. They're building just so that they can spend that money they got. Because there's no logical reason to build all of this space that it will not be occupied. There's no logical reason to do it. And when you look at Unite here, 90% of the workforce was laid off during the pandemic because people aren't really traveling as much anymore. Right? So, so our new petition, we had a similar one in Laguna Beach that we were working on about two specific redevelopment projects where they were not going to include parking, and right now the employees are required to park in the neighborhood, so it puts a burden on the neighborhood. This would have been the case in Glendale too. They didn't have a parking plan. puts the burden on the neighborhood because they're already dealing with a lot of day tourism, of people who drive in from local other cities and park in their neighborhoods to go to the beach or to the shops or whatever. And you also have the hotel employees parking in their neighborhoods. And during shift change, you can see them like mass walking down to the hotels or mass walking back up to their cars. So that's what we're focusing on in Laguna. But in LA, it's a bit more comprehensive, and it's even cooler. It's even cooler than what we're doing. So in LA, the hotel development one, for the large hotels, they would have to show that there's a demand. Let's get to the bare bones of it. Show that there's a demand. Also, for demolishing buildings and rebuilding, they have to, under this measure, build housing that would be equal value from what previously existed. Right? So it's going to provide affordable housing. But the best part of that measure is that it would require that the city take advantage of the federal funding program to turn vacant motels into homeless shelters. And one of the things is we've been walking these blocks now for about a month, maybe a little over a month at this point. And we're coming across condemned buildings in this district. And that's because there's a huge economic disparity happening here where people are leaving. And so a lot of neighborhoods, richer neighborhoods, are getting districted in to this district. And they're learning for the first time who their representation is and what their options are. So we're getting a lot of mixed results. Like, we've been getting placed in kind of last couple of days some slightly richer areas. I like to call them the bougie libs. I'm not the only one who likes to call them that. They're the types who are like, wait a minute, NIMBY, not in my backyard, right? So getting mixed bagged results on the second petition. Most people will go ahead and sign with my short wrap. But there are some people who call themselves Democrats who clearly are centrists and pretty much Republican. They might, for all I know, they could have been Republicans who switched parties because the Republicans have gone so off the deep edge that people just don't even want to be associated with them anymore. I think that is a very real possibility, that there are people who switched parties. I think that's a real possibility. But I think that measure is so cool, and apparently we're going to be adding some additional measures, pretty soon, additional petitions. I don't know if they're going to be measures or they'll be state propositions, but we have some other housing stuff coming on. We got some other stuff in the pipe. Is the expression in the pipe or in the pike? Because I've heard it both ways. I've always said in the pipe, but whatever. So, yeah, we got some cool stuff going on, and I'm really excited about this idea of taking that federal funding program and turning vacant motels into homeless shelters. So, what are our thoughts on this? Everybody deserves a bed. That's our thought.